Hi everyone, Ithany Bangs Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Kevin Abstract album, Arizona Baby. This is a new collection of tracks from singer, songwriter, producer, Mr. Kevin Abstract, one of the key figures in the groundbreaking boy band Brockhampton, and now with a pretty spectacular run of projects with the group, he seems to be going back to dropping solo material. Don't worry though, I don't think this is necessarily a signal that Brockhampton is on the rocks or anything. Around the time that Kevin announced the release of this project, or the slow release through which he would drop a few tracks at a time from this new album, he had also put out a casting call for something Brockhampton were working on, so I think it's safe to say the group is still active. One more thing that makes this not really that unusual is before Brockhampton blew up, Kevin had his own small but dedicated fan base of listeners, and I think it would only make sense that he would eventually go back to releasing music in a solo capacity as a result of that. As the Arizona Baby single, which developed into the Ghetto Baby EP, and now we have the full Arizona Baby album, all 11 tracks and 30 or so minutes of it. And as a result of this album being released in that fashion, I've kind of laid down my opinions on a good deal of the material here already, most of which haven't really changed now that the entire project is out. I still love the bars and flows that Kevin laced into the opening track Big Wheels, but found the basic beat and the brevity of the track overall to take away from the song's impact. The horn leads at the very end of the cut, though, are pretty fantastic, and I love the way it transitions into the next song. The track Joyride is still at this moment pretty overproduced and busy to my ears. Out of all the tracks here, it's obviously the most indebted to Andre 3000, I think very much pulling from the instrumental vibe of the Love Below. Still, I do admire the instrumental ambition that Ramil and Kevin and Jack Antonoff of Bleachers fame are showing on this track. It's easily one of the grandest presentations of sound on the entire record, and some of the hooks and refrains Kevin weaves into this track are still pretty catchy. I will say Georgia has certainly grown on me a little bit. The Andre influence on this track is still pretty prominent, but I do love the seamless blend of R&B and pop and country on this cut. Kevin's verses are actually some of the most personal on the entire album, with him going back to his younger years, struggling in school against his teachers, struggling with being in the closet, leaving his troubled home, and not knowing where he's going in life when he's out on the road trying to get his music career off the ground. The song Corpus Christi is even sadder and sees Kevin turning the clock forward to a time where he's essentially airing out the depression, the isolation, the attacks, and the feelings of being a total failure that came along with the accusations that led to Amir Van's exit from Brockhampton. The track is a pained apology to everybody. He even mentions Brockhampton member Dom because he's saying sorry for bringing this up in a track in the first place. The fact that this song comes together so coherently despite the intense emotions surrounding it is pretty impressive. Kevin's rapping here comes off more like a nervous confessional diatribe than it does your usual flow. The song Baby Boy is an excellent single from this record. It's easily my favorite here. It sees Kevin improving on and bringing back the wonderful fusion of indie music and singer-songwriter music and bedroom pop and hip-hop and R&B that made his last record, American Boyfriend, so unique. Tried and true chord progression on this one. Ryan Beatty's guest vocals on the cut are immaculate, and I love how lavish the instrumental on this thing is with those luscious strings, and yet it still kind of maintains this homespun kind of DIY vibe. I also love how tracks on this album like Crumble and Peach also strike a similar balance of you have those elements of pop and acoustic music and R&B and hip-hop comes together really well. Sadly though, I do think this album's ambition and cohesion does tend to drop off in the second half, as the pitched vocals on the track Mississippi over the course of the song to my ears just become a bit much. I do not really get the brevity of the song Use Me, as well as the very prominent cricket samples placed throughout the track, which to my ears are just interruptive. Even if I do love Kevin's bars, his flows, and the numerous gospel choir samples placed throughout the track, which are pretty gorgeous. Kevin's rhymes about seeing his loved ones addicted to hard drugs on this track are pretty stunning, but still, this is one of many examples on this album where you have a track loaded with great ideas, but then they are marred with a few lackluster ones and also aren't extended out to the point where they have much impact. Up to the final verse, where Kevin raps about the impact that Tyler, the creator, had on him, the track American Problem is a total mess. Between the pitched and goofy sung and rapped vocals, the incessant and repetitive refrains, as well as the needlessly woozy instrumental, this track to me is really just a traffic jam. It's like the most obnoxious chamber pop rap with like a splash of Vampire Weekend thrown in there for some reason. And while I do love Kevin's bars, his flow, and the incredibly bumpin' beat on the track Boyer, it's a very odd choice for a closer, leaving the album itself feeling like it's just kind of fizzling out. Unfortunately, this record is just kind of scant, inconsistent, all over the place. Some amazing highs, though, and lyrical content that for hardcore Kevin and Brockhampton fans, you're most likely going to get a lot out of it. I can really tell Kevin was bottling much of what he has said on this album up for quite a while and waited to put it out so that he could get it onto a record, onto a platform that is a bit more intimate, a bit more personal. Still, having said that though, there are a lot of lyrics on this record that do have me kind of concerned, and that's not a mark for or against the album or anything like that. It just does make me worry as somebody who's been listening to Kevin's music for a little bit now, and sort of seeing him admit and say in lyrics that he's not dealing with the pressures that have come along with the highs and lows of Brockhampton in the healthiest way. You could actually say that some of what he's saying here is a little self-destructive. But obviously, he would not have put it out there onto a record if I think he didn't want his fans or his listeners to gain from it in some way, if he didn't think it was going to make for a quality album. And it is certainly compelling to see Kevin struggle not only with the newfound popularity that he's gained through Brockhampton, but also how he's balanced that with his family, his friends, his boyfriend as well. I don't know if lyrically and musically there's a whole lot on this record that's really going to transcend outside of the already established Brockhampton and Kevin Abstract fan base, but given how intimate and personal a lot of the material on this record is, maybe that wasn't Kevin's intention in the first place. On Arizona Baby, I am feeling a strong 6. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video for you to check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Kevin Abstract, Arizona Baby, forever.